Thank you, Cindy.
Oh, you don't need this.
Oh, that's heavy. I won't play this. I am not technically involved other than this that I'm wearing. So this is my presentation. This is my idea of overheads. There's a laugh there, isn't there? I'm not very big on video. Thanks, Cindy. I'm going to start off by saying my name's Richard, and I'm an addict. I'm addicted to hospice. I have flipped around a few different places since moving to Shediac. They had to do with Shediac, PROBUS, Tantramar Seniors College, and different positions. I can say I was very happy to be part of PROBUS, and still am a member of PROBUS Shediac Shores. And Sandra Wallace is here, and I wish my wife was here because we were three of the group of, what was it, about 10 people who formed the PROBUS Club of Shediac Shores. And still enjoying it. And that's my lead into hospice, because one of our speakers was a gentleman named Dennis Cochran. And he brought a young lady along with him named Debbie Landry. And they were very fast on recruiting people. Well, they got me. And a little background on why I signed up quickly. In 1992, my mother died. And it was a horrible death to watch because it was in a hospital. And it was in a sterile green room. And there was a doctor there, and it was almost like he had a clipboard. And the only reason he was there was to record time of death. And I thought, no one should ever die like this. It was awful to see my mother die like that. A few years later, we had a friend in Newmarket, Ontario, who went into a hospice setting beside South Lake Hospital. And I just could not, I'd never heard of this concept of hospice. And I couldn't get over how she was looked after to the nth degree. Anything that she wanted was looked after. Her husband was there. He couldn't have looked after her at home if he had wanted to. So Kathy died. And I thought, you know something, there's a place for me around people who die, and I don't know why. We talked about it, Dr. Mansfield talked about it too. Some people can say, I know about death. I can deal with it. Others cannot, but I can. After seeing my mother die, I think I could deal with anything that had to do with that. And being in the reserve, of course, you were being trained all the time. To give you an idea of my age, because I don't think it said it in there. When I was in the reserve, I trained at Petawawa for a summer concentration. And we had no idea what was going on when we left Toronto and went up to Petawawa, north of Ottawa. And we were put right into jungle warfare because at that time, Canadian troops might have been called to go to Vietnam. And that's a scary thought. I'm glad it didn't happen. I'm going to start off by talking about our group. And you've heard something about, you've seen the faces of a few of us. I'm really glad that this came together, and I'm more than happy that I was asked to be part of this. And I couldn't ask for a better group of ladies to work with. They're imaginative, they are amazing, and here comes my wife. Come on up, Phyllis, please. Phyllis was one of the founding people of PROBUS of Shediac Shores, the PROBUS Club of Shediac Shores. We started back, by the way, I love this. I want to go on TED Talks, okay? I'm sorry, but I don't like a microphone up in front of my face. And the ladies who had them up in front of their faces, The conception of the group. As far as I know, we started back in March of 21, and we met once in the Lions Club across from Albert House. And from then on, we were going virtual. We were going by Zoom for our meetings, and it wasn't the same at all. We could not click as well as we did when we were together. But I am so privileged to be with the group of ladies I'm with. Former Mayor of Alma, nurses, some bilingual and some not. That's for Cindy. Cindy reminded me that my last time talking about our group, I said, oh, nurses, and they're all bilingual, which means they know all about the bad functions of your body in 2 languages. But Cindy only knows about the bad parts of your body in 1 language. Okay, Cindy, all right. I almost sound like my wife correcting me. Anyway, we started off with 8 people, and we lost 1 gentleman, so I became the only male with the group. And we are now down to 6, and Krista, who unfortunately is not here with us this morning. I wish she was. And we started gathering information about wish groups, online, around the world, whatever we could come up with. So what we came up with was all kinds of things that are involved with setting up an end-of-life wishes committee. And then we started making our own group up, and it worked beautifully. So one of the biggest things was we needed a logo. Sorry, I'm going to go back. I have to retract. One of the pieces I'd like you to consider, and it was out on the table as you registered, is the initial wishes categories. And again, okay, you can all read that. So we start off with rituals. Not sure what that entails. Perhaps a spiritual exercise, meditations and prayer, opportunity in accordance with their faith, perhaps a church service of their choice, brings in a, quote, spiritual guide, stress decreasing breathing techniques, daily walks, gardening, bird watching, and any hobbies. Board games, video games, meals. If I could put my notes together properly here. Okay, into connections. Connections, perhaps meeting via electronic means with an old friend or someone who client wants to say goodbye to, or a person they feel they want to express an old concern, amends, or an I love you. And I'll talk about that just a little bit later. The environment, which to me, I wondered about the environment, humanizing the environment. If a client lives at home, how can things be made easier or more user-friendly? Fresh flowers, an easy chair, make daily activities more accessible, refurnish the living quarters, going for a ride. Amazing how many people just like to get in a car and go for a ride and see some countryside. Seeing attractions, meals brought in. Paying it forward, there's a term that I think all of us know about. Some event planning for family, narrative project, that is, recording some of their experiences, and a scrapbook, and I'll speak about that a little later. for use by family and friends, future memory creations, creating a legacy. Now I'm going to speak about the logo. The butterfly is a symbol of change and transformation in many cultures. The release of butterflies is often used as a celebration of life event. Now, if you look around you, you'll see a lot of butterflies. And I want to point out the original that is our logo for the End of Life Wishes project. And this was drawn for us. This was done by an artist on our committee named Andrea Wheaton. And I can't say enough about how proud she was to do this for us and how happy we were to accept this as our logo. And I wish Andrea was here today. I'd love to, right to her face in front of you people, tell her how much we appreciate what she has done. So you're going to see our logo on our piece of work. And this is what the committee put together. And I am so proud of this. Kirsten made sure through a printer that it was done. It was done in both languages, French and English. And it lays out pretty well everything that you need to know about granting wishes to someone. And if there are any questions, you can ask us. But what I see is word of mouth, and some of these in your hand or someone's hand, extramural nursing, whoever it is, can get these out into the community, into the hospitals or wherever, and we can grant wishes more than we have done. We decided very early that part of what I was saying before, people wanted to communicate. People want to communicate with loved ones or missed friends or whoever it is, if there's distance involved, say. And I was I was voluntold that I would be, no, I wasn't really. I took this on, and I thought, I'm not good at asking for money. I can't go out and say, we need money, give me money. But I tried this one, and it worked beautifully. This is a shout to Best Buy here in Moncton. I went over and met the store manager, and I had heard that they have a stock of refurbished Chromebooks or iPads. And what we wanted was 2 of them. One to be in the residence, and one to be available to in-home volunteers, so that if they found out that someone in the house, in that home that they were going to visit, would like to speak to a relative in Vancouver or Hong Kong, it didn't matter. We could set that up. We still have them. We still have the one in Albert House, and I don't know whether it's been used yet. It has been used. That's all that it's about. So when I went back to pick up the 2 used Chromebooks, the manager said to me, we don't have any used. And he sent one of his staff up the ladder and brought down 2 brand new Chromebooks and donated them to hospice through us. Very happy about that one. Very, very happy to be able to have done that. Go into something a little personal here. I've already been into something very personal. But this is a time with COVID when I find there are three things that are helping me get through. One is music, and I'll say to my wife, dancing as well, because we do dance in the apartment once in a while. Optimism. There has to be optimism. As Dr. Wakefield said, this COVID ain't going away. So let's be optimistic that we're going to be through this without problems. And what's the third one? Oh yeah, my memory. The memory of wishes came back to me. I started thinking, wishes. Yes, wishes. People can make wishes. How did it start? Do you remember when you were 1 year old and there was a cake put in front of you with a candle? Possibly not. But it was blow out the candle and make a wish. We've had it all through our lives. It's a secret thing. You don't tell anybody what you wished for. We do the same thing with the crackers on New Year's Eve. We pull the bang out and make a wish on that. It made me think of the Disney When You Wish Upon a Star, Jiminy Cricket singing. And then there was another one, and I think this was in Cinderella. A dream is a wish your heart makes. And that's my reflection on back when I was younger, and I can remember all of the... Here's one, though. I don't know how many of you would remember this. My sister and I in the back seat of the car, and we're going to the cottage, and we're bickering back and forth at one another. My mother said, if you two can keep quiet, look out the window and see if you can find a white horse. And the first one who sees the white horse says, does anybody remember this? Okay, the first one to see a white horse says, lucky, lucky white horse, lucky, lucky me. Lucky, lucky white horse, bring luck to me. Another trying to have a wish. Okay. Now I come to the juice, the grit, and everything that we've done so far. With the limitations that have been put on us, I'm going to talk about the wishes that we've granted. This has to be the best, not the only, but the best. And Liette started this out. A woman named Antoinette Leblanc, who lived in Albert House. Antoinette was the first wish that was granted with the help of rural rides, and we're going to hear from the speaker this afternoon on urban rural rides. Antoinette was able to go to the nursing home where she lived before entering Albert House, where she was able to say goodbye to staff and friends. Then she went off to her cottage in Cap-Bimet, where her family was there to surprise her. Now, the reason I say that this was probably the biggest wish that we endeavored to look after, and it was looked after beautifully. It took a myriad of people to put this together. The bottom line of it was, Antoinette was so surprised. CBC was there and recorded it, and it was on the news. Her son was in Florida. We had to get his permission to have this wish granted for Antoinette. And I'll never forget the picture of Antoinette on that news broadcast, sitting there joking, laughing, and drinking a glass of white wine. She was 94. That was September. She went back to Albert House, I believe, and died in November. What a way to have your wish granted. She was 99? I'm only off by 5 years. Thanks. Thanks, Kirsten. I have just a three others that are small, but still, it doesn't matter how small or how big they are wishes that are being granted. And something as simple as asking for a bean bag to go around the back of your neck. It was granted. You get a bean bag and you take it in and you present it to this person. The cat was mentioned, the stuffed cat. We went out as a group to, okay, you go to Toys R Us and you go to and get the best price. And Kirsten is directing this, and she said to me, have a word with the manager, see if you can get it for free. It's always, we're going to work at, get the best price you have. So we got the stuffed cat, and it purrs. And apparently this gentleman, Billy, was just amazed with this. And he had it in his arms, purring, and would fall asleep with this cat in his arms. Nancy asked for a bonsai tree. That's easy enough to come up with. So she was presented with a bonsai tree. No problem whatsoever. At Christmas time, on the 23rd of December, I wasn't able to attend, but quite a few of the volunteers came out to Albert House and walked around the premises singing Christmas carols out in the cold, and apparently it was a very cold night. So, and it was not just the volunteers, it was staff as well. And that's something I think that's going to have to be repeated. And the last person I'm going to talk about is Gordon, because I was involved with Gordon. And I can see the smiles on people's faces, people who had the privilege to go into Maison Albert and see Gordon in his room. Now, Gordon was a little bit of a fixture. He stayed a little longer than usual, but everybody loved Gordon. Gordon's wish was to go for a drive and see the holiday lights, and a volunteer was able to take him out to see those lights in Riverview and then back to the hospice. That was in December, of course, just before Christmas. In March, Gordon's wish was to have a truck for his room. This is where I got involved. I was able to get a truck. I had been in with Gordon, and I said to him, Gordon, what did you do for a living? And he said, I drove truck. I said, you miss it? He said, every day. I said, when did you quit driving? He said, I was 71. And he did a run between Moncton and just over the border into Nova Scotia, apparently. But he loved driving truck. So I was able to go out to the Salisbury Big Stop truck, and they've got trucks there, believe me. So I was able to get that. Brought it back, and Kirsten and I went into his room to give this. At the same time, Kirsten had found, she decided he needed a new shirt to wear, and she had found a golf shirt that she figured he would wear. He was so pleased with the golf shirt, and then we gave him the truck. Now, Kirsten and I are right around Gordon. I gave him the truck. First thing I noticed, the tears started coming down his face. The second thing I noticed when I looked over my shoulder were the two nurses behind us just peeking around the corner with the tears running down their faces. It was just so special to see that. Gordon's died and the truck has gone to his son. Now, that's the third wish. His third wish was to see his son one last time. And with the help of the wish committee, a wish committee member who was able to pick his son up from a special care home, he was able to see his son again one last time before he died. The son has inherited the truck. Liette, I believe you started this? Yeah. We now have a book. that is going to catalog the wishes. And we're going to keep this up to date with everything that we do, granting wishes. It's beautifully done. I'm very happy to be able to show you this, and we're going to have it out. Please take time and have a look through this. It's really well done. Scrapbooking has not gone out of style. Our task needs support, whether in resident, in-house, or there's no connection to hospice whatsoever. I'm going to tell you what I have done. Of course, it was stalled up by COVID, and we couldn't go and visit. But it turned out that there was a gentleman out in the west end of Moncton, and he hadn't had a visitor for a while. And I said that I would go out and visit with him. And I came back to our group, our committee, and I said, this man has PSP. And all the nurses said, oh, yeah, yeah, we know what that is. I had no idea. But it is progressive supranuclear palsy, which means he falls down a lot. Prognosis, not great, but he does have some more time to live. And I will continue to go and see this man. But I've tried to talk to his wife and to this gentleman about a last wish. And one of the things we were talking about was the people who want to die at home. And this man is one of those. He does not want to be going into a hospice facility. As much as I give all the good things about hospice, he does not want to go to hospice. He wants to die at home. I've approached his wife with a last wish, and she said, oh, I don't know what he would want. I said, well, think about it, please, and see if there's something you could come up with. And the last time I was in to see this fellow, we just get along beautifully. I'll be in there for 4 hours talking with him. Oh, look at that. I'm almost right on. Kirsten's looking at her watch, so I thought I'd better look at mine too. I dropped the word with this fellow. I said, you know, if I knew that I was going to die, I would have a wish. And he said, what's that? I said, I've always loved horses. And it was if I was able to, someone would even be able to get me up on the back of a horse and just inside, outside, I don't care, but get onto a horse and just have a horse. There's something about horse flesh underneath me that I love. And he said, well, isn't that funny? I was born outside of Rexton. And he said, it was a farm setting. And he said, my older brother thought I couldn't do anything. And everything I did was wrong to him. But we had this old man who lived, another farmer who lived on the next farm over. And he said, one day he came by, he had a wagon with a team of 8 horses. And he invited me to sit up on the wagon with him. And he was holding the reins to 8 horses, and they were just riding along. And my gentleman said to him, do you think I could take those reins? And he just passed them over, and he said, you have no idea. Driving a car is something, but when you have command of 8 horses in front of you. So I think this might be a little bit of a stretch for our committee. And I don't think the people in the West End of Moncton are going to appreciate a wagon with a team of 8 horses coming. We'll see what we can do. We'll see what we can do for his wish. Thank you very much. Thanks for listening. And lunch is almost ready, I believe. Kirsten?